call the meeting to order at 6:03. Can everybody please rise for pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mayor.
Matthew Buckley. Michelle Kaiser. Here. David Clifford.
Here.
Michael Emsworth.
Here.
Patricia Kaminsky. Here. Aaron Novak.
Here.
Jonathan Thorber.
Here.
Thank you.
Exits left, right, behind you, and behind us. At this time, can I have a motion to have the Vice President of the school board run the meeting from here on out? Motion please. Mike, second Patty. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented and or amended? Any discussion? Motion moves 7-0. Item 3.1, a motion to approve the minutes of October 17 business meeting as presented at the meeting. Have a motion? No. Dave? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion moves 7-0. Item 4.1, presentations of
Good evening. Today I'd like to begin with the principal reports. Mrs. Connolly.
Good evening. November's PBIS Character Trait of the Month is demonstrating an attitude of gratitude, and we have been centered around activities that teach and model this at the elementary school. Last Thursday, November 10th, the grade 3 teachers and parents with music and artistic contributions from all students under the guidance of Laura Kroll and Brian Emsworth hosted our annual Veterans Day breakfast to honor the service of all those who have served in our military. An invitation went out to all veterans related to our students and also to our local American Legion post, and 22 special guests joined us in our gymnasium for a patriotically themed program of gratitude that included our scouts leading the presentation of colors and a Pledge of Allegiance, and each grade level of students singing a heartwarming thank you song to our veterans. At the conclusion of the ceremony, past District 9 American Legion Commander Michael Brophy presented the elementary school with a plaque of recognition for our participation in the celebration of Veterans Day. And I have that plaque with me. I'll show it to you later if you'd like to see it. Get that hung up. We're also thankful for the opportunity to collaborate with local community groups to extend student learning activities. On November 2nd and 16th, the Historical Society's Traveling Trunks program is back in our grade K-1 classrooms with their unique hands-on presentations that use artifacts from the past to bring history to life. And on November 4th, our PE teacher, Eric Frostby, led students in practicing basketball shooting skills in PE class to be prepared to enter the Elks Hoop Shoot competition held at the elementary school on Saturday, November 5th, if they wanted to do so. This program is an outreach offered by our local Elks members to help instill grit and perseverance in kids aged 8 to 13, and students who won each age group get to move on to the next round of competition, and we wish them all luck. Students are also enjoying going on field trips again, and this last Wednesday, our second graders traveled to the Sterling Mine Museum to explore underground caves learn about all kinds of rock formations, the effects of erosion in the mining industry. So thank you to the board for fully supporting these trips once more. And lastly, tomorrow we will host our Thanksgiving luncheon. We're looking forward to opening our doors to approximately 135 family members who will join us for a very special Harvest Week community meal. We're grateful to Kiki Thomas and the entire food service staff, PTSA volunteers, and our ES custodial team for all the effort that has gone into hosting this event. And with that, I'm going to conclude my principal's report in wishing all of you a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving holiday.
Thank you. Mr. Hammer?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Lots of things happening since our last meeting here. Our Student of the Month program continues to kick off here. October, our character trait of the month was Attitude. Liam, Gianna, Marcus, Ava, and Stephanie, one student selected from each grade level to represent the character trait of the month for their grade level. I'll be having breakfast with the principal with them this week and celebrating all the great things that they're up to. November's character trait is kindness. Mrs. Connolly mentioned the PTSA. We're so thankful for them to help support our students with the t-shirts that they've gotten them, and certainly for our upcoming Thanksgiving lunch and all the effort that they're helping to put into that with our food service department. So many wonderful things happening here in October. Our Pink Out Day and supporting the American Cancer Society, all of our Halloween festivities and dance. The National Junior Honor Society and student government were in full-time work last month hosting Red Ribbon Week. Our elections here at the middle school for student council. The NJHS went to a kickoff ceremony at the government center, tying ribbons around the trees on the county government building property to commemorate Red Ribbon Week. Mrs. Chapman, Mrs. Rasmussen, and Mrs. Shepard, again, spearheading all of those great efforts. Red Ribbon Week certainly promoting positive choices here at our schools with all of our students. We had a special student election assembly, again, spearheaded by the NJHS, with local politicians that were in the middle of their own races at the time. This was just before Election Day. Dory Hooley, sitting town councilwoman running for New York State Senate, the sitting senator at the time, James Skoufis, and Kim Van Haster, the town of Goshen judge and chief assistant county attorney for family law. So they're going to be here, see our student government assembly. Certainly with COVID, those were things that were missing here at school. So it was really neat to be able to, it was my first time as principal having the full student body in this space for an assembly. So it was great to have that happen. All three candidates spoke about participatory government with our students in the process. And just were so impressed with our student candidates. The students got to give their speeches and we held our student council elections. So it was really great to have that normal feeling here. Our 8th graders attended the Ellis Island trip to New York City. Mrs. C led a group of students from NJHS to the Emergency Center where ADAC had a county-wide kickoff to Red Ribbon Week, and our students got to participate in that great presentation. A high school choice update. Our students got to tour both Chester and Warwick 2 weeks ago, and we had our parent nights at both schools. And our students will be formally making their choices here in December. A shout out to Mr. Compton, who led our jazz ensembles down to New York City for a jazz festival. The Laker kids, Mrs. Joseph and Mrs. Collins, raised over $600 for the Snack Attack program in the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. Our superintendent conference day saw great learning both here on our campus with our staff and a contingent from the district. At the 911 Command Center and at BOCES, wonderful workshops happening for all of our staff. The Ashokan trip, just a mountain of work from Mrs. Burkett and Mrs. Collins that goes into preparation for that. I got to go last spring and have the privilege of going here last week with them, and just an incredible opportunity for our students. Thank you to all of the staff that volunteered and were a part of that. Before I jump to the looking ahead, As you know, last Monday we had an emergency release here at the school. Oftentimes with weather and things that happen, you sort of anticipate those things happening and you're on the ready. To have a situation like that in the middle of the day with about a half hour's notice to mobilize transportation, the notification to the community, feeding all of our students, our staff, some that are here I see, we talked about it in our staff meeting today. Just the incredible effort from everybody involved to mobilize all of the things that had to happen. Our administrative team, our teaching staff, our SRPs just rolled up the sleeves, got it done, and got our kids out of here safely. So a shout out to all of our staff that were involved with that. Lastly, looking ahead, Harvest Week here at the schools, lots of tasty and healthy choices being prepared for our students. Parent-teacher conferences coming up this Thursday. Reminder to parents, it's a half a day with an 11:30 dismissal here at the middle school. Conferences until 3, and again from 5:30 to 7:30, and the same format on the 30th. I would like to share that on the 30th, while we're still ironing out the details, we do anticipate, Superintendent Haddad had mentioned at the last meeting, that Trooper Anka Watt would be coming to campus to present to families on all things internet safety. And it's a really important message. It's really relevant right now. And we'll be sharing out details as that date gets closer. And we have our Thanksgiving lunch here on the 16th. Lastly, A Tale of Snow White. Mr. Pignataro, Mr. Compton, and Mr. Vanelli have been working so hard with our students. Can't wait to see those performances on Friday evening here in the cafeteria, 7 p.m. this week, and on Saturday at 2 p.m. Modified sports do begin on Monday, the 21st. For the board, we do have wrestling is coming back, and we anticipate that happening at Warwick starting on the 28th. We will compete as the Greenwood Lake Middle School with, on our agenda, our own Greenwood Lake coach. And report cards will be mailed home this Friday, and recess for Thanksgiving half day next week, and we're off Thursday and Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. What happened?
Lots happening.
Can I have a motion to move item 7.1 up to down? John and Mike? Discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Yeah. Good evening. Ms. Polchinski, would you like to stand up? It is my privilege to speak tonight on behalf of Ms. Lena Polchinski. Lena started as our Director of Curriculum and Instruction in January 2019. From the start, she showed a willingness to take on projects and excelled at building relationships with staff. She has a strong knowledge of best instructional practices, and when she makes recommendations, she does so based on sound research and experience, and always with students in mind. Lena's probationary period has been anything but typical. From working alongside me when I was assistant superintendent, to leading instructional decision-making during the spring 2020 shutdown and the 2020-2021 COVID instructional year, to last year transitioning back to a more normal day in programs, to this year being the most typical in recent memory, and certainly since she has started. As decisions needed to be made during each of those time periods, Lena was keen to ensure both staff and student needs were addressed and always had a unique perspective that led the district to better decision-making. She frequently takes on responsibility of presenting to the Board of Education, and when presenting, she is articulate and dynamic, such that her presentations are full of enthusiasm and engage the audience. Being an administrator in a small district can be challenging. You must become a jack of all trades, or in Lena's case, a Jill of all trades. Each new role or task she is given, she faces with enthusiasm and dedication to learn, and puts in the effort to do the job correctly. Her leadership skills include knowing when to push, when to regroup, and when to give things some space before proceeding. Lena has progressed such that she has become adept at all three. In addition, she has been instrumental in the development of some of our teachers taking the helm and leading professional development. When teachers can share their expertise and experience with peers, that's where the magic happens. Ms. Polchinski leads with grace and is a natural when it comes to recognizing individuals or people, each with their own story and backgrounds. The students of Greenwood Lake are lucky to have an administrator so student-focused and who leads with her heart. It is my honor and privilege to present Ms. Lena Polchinski for tenure this evening.
Can I have a motion to confer tenure upon Lena Polchinski and the Director of Curriculum and Instruction tenure period as presented? David? All in favor?
Congrats.
Motion passes.
On the board is the quote that I wanted to have, and Mary told me that it wouldn't fit on the plaque. So we went through and we were going through quote after quote after quote. And I realized once it came, well, Mary realized quickly and called me, once it came, why it wouldn't fit on the plaque. So what I'm going to hand you is an embarrassingly small paperweight with knowing that the plaque is coming and that we will order you the right size plaque and hopefully get the quote that I fully intended on. But it is for you. Congratulations.
Board liaison reports? Oh, I'm sorry.
You can do those for people. All right, this evening we have a data presentation from Lena Polchinski, our Director of Curriculum Instruction, and Diane Connolly, our elementary school principal. The board asked for some additional information on incoming kindergartners and how they are entering our school, as well as looking at our partner districts of Chester and Norwood and how we're doing there. So at this time, I turn it over to Ms. Polchinski and Mrs. Connolly.
Hello? Okay. Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Haddon. Thank you for the opportunity to present this evening as we continue our data review conversation. As a follow-up from last month's presentation, the board had asked for the NWEA MAP comparison data and more data regarding our incoming kindergarten students. So how does Greenwood Lake compare to our counterparts? We wanted to reach out to our counterparts, Warwick and Chester, to see how our students are doing on the maps in comparison to us here at Greenwood Lake. Taking a look at the spring 2022 NWEA MAP data, we have presented for you the mean RIT scores for our students and have added Chester scores as well. As a reminder, the RIT is an achievement scale that measures a student's growth over time. My apologies for not having data from Warwick. After speaking with them, this data is information they use for instructional purposes only, and they do not share this data publicly with either their constituents or stakeholders. Therefore, that data is unavailable. It is important to note, however, that Warwick does not administer the NWEA MAP at the elementary level, but rather they use the MAP data for their middle school level grades 5 through 8. For math, Warwick Valley uses the Houghton Mifflin Math Benchmarking Assessment for grades K through 4. As you can see up on the chart, this is our math assessments from the spring. We are pretty comparable across the board. Our students are performing comparatively well to our neighboring district, Chester. As you can see in most areas, we've either are equal or slightly higher. So we're doing very well in the maps overall for math compared to Chester. On the next slide, we have our reading spring 2022 data. Again, when reviewing the data, we are also doing very well in comparison. In most of our grades, we have performed slightly better on the maps. With the exception of grade 3, we've actually performed higher in all levels. You will notice that the kindergarten for Chester is not available. They did not have those scores to share with us.
Something just to reflect upon, These scores fluctuate from year to year and grade level to grade level. So we are using this more as a guide just to make sure that we are preparing our kids equally in the district. This is in no way intended to say students are better or worse, or one school district is better or worse. There are always stories behind the numbers, and this is just kind of a reference point for us to say how are we doing? Are we preparing students for the high schools that we're sending them to? And based on this information, it looks like we are doing that adequately.
Another portion of the presentation that the board had asked for some more information on is kindergarteners, incoming kindergarten, and how they are compared to previous years' kindergartens. So on the board, you'll see our Dial 4 kindergarten screening results over time. Each spring, we conduct kindergarten screening on all incoming students using the Dial 4. I've provided each of you with an overview of what this instrument measures and a listing of the skills associated with the motor, concepts, and language domains. A review of our data over the past 5 years shows our screening scores were on a rising trend prior to COVID shutdown in March of 2020 in all areas. You'll notice that enrollment began higher and was at a low for a variety of reasons in September of 2020, many relating to COVID. However, enrollment is currently on a rising trend once again. In the past 2 years, you'll notice that screening scores have declined across all areas. And lastly, a review of the total score column shows that while high scores remain fairly consistent, the low scores have dropped by as much as 30 points. And we believe this is most likely due to a lack of exposure by some students to pre-kindergarten skill instruction.
In terms of the increasing enrollment in kindergarten, we knew for certain that 2021 would be higher because we had several parents that held their children back from kindergarten in fall of 2020 and indicated they would send them in 2021. So we fully expected that uptick in 2021. What we did not expect was the uptick in 2022 up to 55 students. And that's why this past spring, we discussed this as a board about the enrollment numbers, and we added that third kindergarten class. There's no way for us really to know if this was a bubble or if it's a true trend to increasing for a couple of years. I don't really want to rely on the 2021, but something definitely did happen in 2022, and we'll just have to see over time where that goes.
Other related data to our kindergartners, a review of enrollment records confirmed that preschool attendance declined significantly during these past few years. Prior to COVID, 95% of incoming students attended at least 1 year of pre-K, while currently only 78% have this year. In addition, observations and student needs reported by both our guidance counselor and school psychologists include SEL needs, such as lower independent problem-solving skills, lower self-advocacy skills, heightened emotional reactions, attention-seeking behaviors, and struggling with conversational skills. And lastly, our kindergarten teachers have noted the following as skill deficits between prior and current incoming kindergarten students: not being able to recognize their name, unable to write their name. Some students can only write it if given a visual support. Identifying uppercase letters, self-help skills such as putting on their own jacket and packing up their backpacks, difficulty with problem solving, and fine motor skills are weak, again, in comparison, pencil grasp, cutting, and writing. So these are some of the notices from kindergarten.
So what are we doing to support our incoming kindergartners? In the summer of 2019, the district implemented the first year of the Bridging into Kindergarten program. The program was specifically designed to invite students based off of their Dial 4 screenings. The summer program focuses on filling academic gaps with a strong focus on those pre-kindergarten readiness skills. We've included some data to support how well the Bridging to Kindergarten program is doing. The foundational ELA skills such as uppercase and lowercase letter recognition, beginning and end sound recognition, number recognition, and counting to 20 are just some examples of areas that were assessed during the Bridging to Kindergarten. Each year of the program, we continue to analyze the data and we continue to show student gain overall. And this that you see here is our data from 2020, 2021. The past year, this past summer, we offered an AM and a PM session to our Bridging to Kindergarten in order to be able to accommodate for 2 groups and to allow for more students to be able to participate in the summer program. We also added additional foundational skills this past year, such as identifying shapes and colors and counting with one-to-one correspondence, along with all of the other areas that we have continuously assessed in the past. We do hope to continue this worthwhile program, and our next goal is to increase parent engagement in supporting the growth and development of kindergarten readiness skills. Thank you again, and does anyone have any questions about any of the data we presented this evening?
Questions or thoughts or comments or?
Oh, great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So as the community and the board is aware, we had a demonstration of the Evolve Express on October 24th through the 26th. And recently, actually earlier this evening, the board had a workshop reviewing information from that, and we wanted to share that information publicly as well as discuss next steps. So just briefly, there is a study out, and I have a link here to it, and I can send it out to anyone that's interested in it, about characteristics of school shootings. Some of the comments that were made both to board members, to administrators, and even within the survey that we sent out is, we're not Newburgh, or we're not Middletown, we're not New York City. Why here? Why are we looking at that here? And the fact is, and when you look at the school shootings, that while yes, urban high minority schools did have more shootings overall, they were more motivated by disputes between students. They were committed by non-students or unknown shooters. Motivated by disputes between individuals. Whereas suburban, rural, wealthy, or low minority schools, such as Greenwood Lake, were victims of more school-targeted shootings. And such shootings were the most fatal and most commonly committed by students. So that's why we're looking at such system here. So what does the Evolve Express do? The Evolve Express does identify specific areas of concern when an individual walks through, and it acts as a deterrent. It is not a metal detector. It uses artificial intelligence and identifies items that could cause mass damage. It will not identify items that we already have in school, such as in tech class, in the kitchen, in the art room, scalpels, small knives, etc. Also, what does the Evolve Express not do? It will not stop an individual from finding another way into the building with an intent to cause harm. We had 2 full days of a trial at the middle school. On day 1, there were 215 individuals that went through, students and staff, and we focused mainly on the 6th through 8th graders and the car riders. We had 40 alerts, which was an 18% alarm rate. They told us to expect between a 20 and 30% alarm rate in the first few days. Approximately 10 of those alerts were from the Chromebooks passing too close to the outside. We did have a 3-minute delay to all students being fully in the building that day due to using the system. We were told by Evolve that number would go down over time as both staff and students got used to using the system. On day 2, we had approximately 30 more individuals pass through. We focused on all students and all staff going through that day. There were 30 alerts, so there were 30 more students, 30 more individuals that went through, but 10 less alerts. We also had a 3-minute delay that day, but with more individuals going through. So we definitely did see a reduction in the amount of time it took to send individuals through the system. What you may have noticed on the prior slides that I didn't mention, but I knew this was coming up, was that the flagged items are some of our required school supplies. So for example, a Chromebook will flag the scanner. So at this time, the company's recommendation is that the Chromebooks be removed and handed around the outside of the system. They are working to update it so that the Chromebooks aren't flagged and will be able to remain in backpacks and wouldn't have to be taken out. 3-ring binders also set off the system. And then other items that individually may not have set off the system, but when combined did. So for example, a cell phone by itself will not set off the system, but when a student had a cell phone with the earbuds, like in an AirPod case right next to it, the system did alert to those. Because of the above things we knew were going to flag, we did ask students to stop and empty their bags prior to going through the scanner in order to pass around these objects. In terms of placement of the scanners, we had the scanners inside the school, so anyone scanned did already have access into the building. If the board decides to move forward, we would want to try to figure out a way to get the scanners placed outside the building. This could require additional infrastructure to the current building setup in both buildings, which could be a summer project, but could also mean a capital improvement. That would also depend on the number of entrances that we put these scanners at. In terms of cost, each device requires a 4-year contract, totaling $25,000 to $30,000 per year per device. The middle school would require 1 to 2 units, and the elementary school would require 2 units minimally. So the total cost of that would be approximately $75,000 to $100,000 per year. We had a board member request information about a second armed officer, and so we did run the numbers on that, and if we had a second armed officer for 4 hours a day for 180 days, that could cost about $24,000. If we had a second officer for 8 hours a day, it would be $48,000. So the cost for that would be anywhere from $48,000 to $96,000 a year. Evolve system does have some different softwares in terms of integrating with different camera systems. They can operate with our current camera system. They can also operate with other camera systems from other districts that other districts have. We are looking to upgrade our camera system in the near future. Some of our cameras are very old, and so we want to upgrade those as well as put cameras in additional places around the building and outside the building. So it could be advantageous to wait and decide the new camera system first and the new software. The software on our current camera system is very clunky and very user-friendly as well. Mrs. Connolly and Mr. Kmart can attest to that when we have to review cameras. At the elementary school, we did review the 2 entrances. The main entrance, just by design, is an extremely difficult location to put a system in. There is, where the students enter for the bus, it is easier. I sent out a survey to staff and to parents. We had 239 individual responses. 70% were parents, approximately 30% were staff. We had 77 elementary parents. Of those 77 parents, 85% supported installing a weapons detection system at the elementary school. For our middle school parents, we had 133, and we had 76% support from parents. Interestingly, there was more support on installation of the weapons detection system for the elementary school than there was for the middle school at both the parent and the staff level, and you'll see that. Some comments from parents for support. I did include every single comment that was typed into the survey. I'm not going to sit here and bore you with reading all of them, but Mr. Kmart has been kind enough to highlight a few that represent a range of parent comments. So from parents that support it, anyone who enters either school should be screened. Good idea so our students are safe in school. I support the district's decision in protecting our children. This new system is as non-intrusive as it can be, In a perfect world, this isn't needed, but in the real world, it's necessary to protect students and staff. Additional comments from parents who support. Thank you for being concerned about the well-being of our children while they are in your care and while teaching or educating them. And we support more security for our schools. Thank you. We did have some parents that voted against, did not support installing the system, and I wanted to share all of their comments as well. This one parent's comment was, kids should not be treated like criminals. School is not an airport. Money should be spent on facilities, technology, and education. Metal detectors won't stop a shooter coming in through a window. Educate kids and parents about anti-gun legislation and initiatives around the state so they can participate in voting and making decisions that will prevent easy access to guns and automatic weapons. In terms of staff, we had 19 elementary staff take the survey. We had 63% support from the elementary staff. In the middle school, we had 49 responses from staff, and we had 59% support of the system being installed. Comments from staff who supported the installation included, I'm thankful for the security and the police we currently have and fully support the new system and appreciate the concern you have in maintaining for our students and community. As well as, I'd like to see options explored to install the new system prior to entry and the consideration of a single point of entry. In terms of the comments from staff who are against installation, a weapon can be brought in through another entrance. A weapon can be hid on the grounds and brought in during events or drills when doors are open. A weapon can be hidden in school and used at another time. If someone wants to bring in a weapon, they will not come through the front door and be detected. They will find another way. We did have a third option. We had I support, I do not support. We also had I am unsure or undecided. And those people also made some comments. So some sample comments from them are, I feel it's a lot of money to spend on a system that is questionable, and I don't know if it's really necessary in our district. And it was very difficult to empty laptops and such every morning. Why have a system where it takes so long to go through? Having to carry other things like lunch boxes and coats makes it take a long time. That kind of makes me wonder if that was a student. We did have Chiefs Rader and Iron come see the system in person, as well as I meet with them regularly, and they had some thoughts about the system as well and advice for the district. Their joint statement includes, a system such as Evolve would deter internal individuals, students and staff, which is the primary concern we have as a potential threat, and reveal any concealed weapons. The system is impressive in its accuracy and speed. If placed in the demonstration location, people who scan do already have access to the building. We have some additional recommendations that can be put in place either immediately or in the near future that can help the district prevent, plan, and prepare. For discussion and consideration, we recommend minimizing the number of entries into the building for every single individual. They recommend upgrading and adding additional camera footage, and they would like to request police access to that footage. They want to continue our ongoing regular meetings between district and law enforcement. Over the summer we decided that they were going to be bi-monthly with meetings in between for school staff, and at this point they would like to move those up to monthly. So we are working on that with them. They want to do some training and drills for our officers, meaning them, as well as with staff. So what they're thinking is that they would run a law enforcement and administrative drill sometime between now and March, and then a full-scale drill on March 15th, potentially on the next Superintendent's Conference Day. They would also like to eliminate the ability to prop doors open and look into a system that alerts when a door is left open. So out of the workshop, the board came up with the following next steps. And that is to study the Evolve system with budget season, as well as keep up with the expected technology updates, specifically related to Chromebooks, so the students wouldn't have to take them out of their bags. They would like us to begin planning to reduce entry points into the building. They would like us to work on the camera plan and updating those. That's also part of budget season. And they would like me to, and some staff to do a site visit to a district with Evolve, as well as talk to them about what plans they have in place for when kids come back in from recess, and what other measures do those districts have in place. For example, do they have guards that guard the front door, and do they have armed police officers on duty? And then the board just did want to remind everybody that the door lock card system that eliminates the need for keys is coming next summer. Is there anything additional that the board would like to share or add at this time? Oh, I don't know what's going on. Okay, that is it for me. Thank you.
Board liaison reports. Liaison for Chester.
I really don't have much report for Chester. But I did a football game. And the Seabird kids are a big part of that school from everything. And I know they're during negotiations with contract partners in Chester right now. And their ongoing drama is their baseball game. Still that much left.
There was a change in the school calendar. I just want to make everyone aware of. The board did vote to change Wednesday, November 23rd to a half-day dismissal at 10:40 for the high school students, and Friday, December 23rd, also at 10:40 a.m. Dismissal for the students. The initial calendar said there would be full days, those are now half days. This week starts winter sports tryouts, so good luck to all the Lakers trying out in Warwick for winter sports. Just want to make sure all parents update their Opera Row, the online format where we fill out all of our student forms, doctor's forms, any health forms, anything like that, COVID forms, anything that needs to be updated. For each season, you need to update the forms. I learned that the hard way. I get an email this morning that it was not updated. Students will not be able to try out for sports unless all the forms are updated. So it takes just 2 seconds just go on and update them. If your child did not play a fall sport, then everything needs to be reissued. And it's right on that site.
Municipal liaison report, which is me. We had a meeting last month. We had 43 resolutions to vote on. Practically all of them got approved, so they will be working with our local legislators supporting those resolutions. Just to bring attention to the board, I think I sent you an email advocating for free lunch for all. So if you can fill out that form and just send that along. Oxlaw?
The big news is that the capital project passed for BOCES on the 25th of October. So hopefully with the improvements that will go along with the building, it'll improve the programs and opportunities that people have. So that's good news. They are holding a webinar tomorrow called Hidden Mischief. If you're concerned about your teens, kids, drugs, and alcohol, you can contact Jennifer Lepore. I'll give her number here. It's 845-291-0200, extension 10605, and you can sign up for that webinar.
That information also did go out to all district families from the Detroit Financial District Clerk. So if they check out, parents check their email, there should be something.
It's from 6 to 7 tomorrow.
Thank you for the reminder.
Also, with that, Bill Heck from BOCES has announced his retirement. He's going to be sorely missed at BOCES. I just want to say thank you, Bill, for everything you did.
Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate it. Thank you, Matt.
Facilities Committee?
We met last Friday. We went over the punch down list of the remaining things that need to be completed for the cafeteria at the elementary school. And I believe a lot of that was completed on the day that the school was off for Superintendent's Day. So next meeting, we'll do that list again, and they are making progress. The VOCs are cleared for the second time for the water softener here at the middle school, so we're using that. And now that the testing, I believe, is every 3 months now until we get additional tests cleared, and then it'll go back to the normal schedule. There were 2 additional roof leaks here that we do need to get fixed before the capital project where we're going to be replacing. All the signs are fully completed now at the toppers at each school. I believe that's it.
Thank you. Audit committee, do you have anything? Budget committee? Policy committee? PTSA liaison report? Village of Greenwood. Left, right, sorry. And we did OUBC's report. At this time, we will have privilege of the floor. I just want to remind everyone of the guidelines. The public will be given the opportunity to address the board regarding the items of interest and concern during the privilege of the floor section of each monthly report. Anyone wishing to be heard will be asked to address the president of the board and be recognized prior to speaking. Speakers will be asked to give their name prior to addressing their question or statement to the board. Speakers may be limited to 3 minutes each in their comments or questions. Speakers have the right to speak without interruption. Comments regarding specific personnel will be ruled out of order and referred to the superintendent. Speakers will not be recognized for a second time until all who wish to speak have been given an opportunity. The board may suspend privilege of the floor if it is determined that continued discussion on a particular topic will prevent the board from completing its scheduled business. If one of the above guidelines were not adhered to, and continued participation is deemed to be disruptive.
Maureen Joseph. I teach here in the district. It's my 26th year. This is Rosemary DiBernardi, approaching her 30th year teaching here in the district. But tonight we're here to speak statements from the GLTA. Okay? All right. On September 20th, the GLTA emailed the superintendent asking her to forward you, the BOE, our request for you to consider having one or more members of the GLTA Executive Committee to serve as a liaison. We felt in order to have true transparency, it is paramount to share with the board the perspective of your teachers and staff. Am I too loud? 6 weeks later, on November 4th, we were notified that you declined our request. Tonight, we're here, and we're here to ask you respectfully to reconsider your position. By increasing transparency, we will create a clearer line of communication and understanding that will be both beneficial for both the GLTA and the Board of Education. As we all navigate a rapidly changing world, real transportation is something we need to embrace rather than fear. By embracing it together, we are in lockstep on important issues that are best discussed with the educators and staff of your district privately. It is our hope that you will be open to change, to be flexible, and to accept different ways of doing things. Thank you.
Good evening. I have a few things from the executive committee that I'd like to address. First, the GLTA Poinsettia fundraiser has been canceled to a difference of opinion. Any money collected will be returned. We'd like to thank the GLTA fundraising committee for all their time and effort spent planning this fundraiser. First, I want to say that our #1 goal in this district are our students and their well-being and their academic achievement. While the data presented tonight was very well prepared and informative, there is so much more data to discuss. We have seen the budget presentations by Mrs. LaRoe and our auditors, and it has been stated very clearly that the Greenwood Lake School District is financially sound. On numerous occasions, both Ms. Polchinski and Mrs. Petrossi have presented data regarding RTI. Teachers have recently attended PLCs with Mrs. Petrossi and Ms. Greenberg, discussing the RTI data. The data has shown that the number of Tier 3 students is alarming. Best practice recommends that Tier 3 should be between 1% and 5%. However, our current Tier 3 percentages are much higher. Knowing all of this, my question to you, the board, is why would the board agree to only 2 sections of first grade with class sizes over 20 students in each classroom and only 2 sections of 5th grade with class sizes over 20 students in each classroom? We presented sufficient data back in May supporting the need for 3 sections. Was the data shared with you? We all know that last school year, 2nd grade had only 2 sections, and as the year progressed, it was clearly a mistake. Students were not performing as they should have. Finally, after much discussion with Mrs. Haddon, she agreed to add more academic support to the 2nd grade classrooms, and within a few weeks, academic performance began to improve. Knowing all of this, why would we put our youngest and most vulnerable students at risk of falling behind? Early intervention is proven to be very effective and increases academic readiness. We have brought this issue to attention to Mrs. Haddon numerous times, and nothing's been resolved. Were you aware of this? We are aware that there is COVID relief and ESSER funds still available for class size reduction and to address learning loss. Why we're not using this money to address these situations? And lastly, tomorrow is SRP Recognition Day, and I'd like to say a great thank you to our wonderful SRP staff. Thank you for listening.
Do you have anyone else for privilege of the floor? Moving on to item 8.1, financial reports and warrants. Can I have a motion to approve the October 2022 financial reports and warrants as presented? Matt and Mike, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 8.2, a motion to approve the appropriation transfer as presented. Matt and Dave, any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Item 8.3, can I have a motion to amend and adopt a calendar change to the 2022-2023 business meeting calendar as presented? John and Mike, any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Item 8.5, and have a motion to waive first reading and adopt a second reading wellness policy number 5405. Motion. Mike? Matt? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Item 8.6, and I have a motion to approve the Employee Assistance Program Addendum of Agreement with Catholic Charities of Orange, Sullivan, and Ulster as presented. Matt, Dave, any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Item 8.7, can I have a motion to approve the emergency transportation contract with Orange County Transit as presented? Matt, Patty, any discussion? discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Item 8.8, can I have a motion to approve the change orders for the kitchen cafeteria project at the elementary school as presented? Mike, Matt, all in favor? Item 8.10. Can I have a motion to approve the New York State Education third-party review of window replacement for the middle school capital project as presented? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 7-0. Item 8.10, can I have a motion to approve the NYSCD third-party review middle school capital project domestic water panel and pump replacement as presented? Mike? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item 8.11, we have a motion to approve the addition of Fidelity Investments to the district's tax shelter annuity provider list as presented. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item 8.12, we have a motion to gratefully accept a generous donation from Ms. Hauser for the school lunch fund as presented. John, Patty? Any discussion?
So I just wanted to say publicly thank you to Ms. Mazur. Again, this is the second month that she has provided this. We are using this money to support the families who applied for the free and reduced lunch, but did not meet all of the qualifications. And so we are addressing the needs of those families and communicating with them directly.
Sorry, I skipped 8.4. Sorry about that. I have a motion to adopt the 2023-2024 budget preparation calendar as presented. Matt? Mike? Any discussion? All in favor? Sorry. All right, can we vote on 8.12, which was the donation to Ms. Hauser? Sorry, motion carries 7-0. Okay, item 9.1. Can I have a motion to extend the leave of absence of Caitlin Averill as presented? Mike, Patty, any discussions? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item 9.2. I have a motion to approve the leave replacement of Irina Phillips as presented. John, Mike, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item 9.3. Can I have a motion to approve the elementary leave replacement extension of Rebecca Carter as presented? Matt? Mike? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item 9.4, a motion to appoint William O'Keefe as leave replacement teacher as presented. John, Mike, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item 9.5, a motion to accept with regret the resignation of Anne Marie Pascini as part-time recess aide as presented. Mike, Matt, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item 9.6, can I have a motion to amend the substitute favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item 9.7, can I have a motion to amend the probationary term for Tracy Messick as presented? Mike? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item 9.8, can I have a motion to appoint Lori Stanford as mentor for Rebecca Carter as presented? Patty and Mike? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item 9.9, can I have a motion to appoint Kim Ann Finn as part-time lunch recess aide as presented? Matt and Dave? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item 9.10, a motion to appoint William Brunner as wrestling coach as presented. Mike? John? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Item 9.11, have a motion to appoint the following substitutes as presented. Lori Kasak as non-certified teacher substitute, Wilton Lazarus as school bus monitor substitute, and Melissa Taveras as school bus monitor substitute. John and Patty, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. And I have a motion to accept the CPSE and CSE recommendations as presented. Mike, Matt, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Can I have a motion to enter into executive session for the purposes of review advice from legal counsel? Matt, Dave, any discussion? There's no further action. No. Okay. So our next meeting will be November 14th.